Peace to the gods, peace to the earths.
Assalamu
alaikum.
Peace to the family.
Yes, it's the God, Daysun, big brother Fahiym, you know, back with my God brother again, you know what I'm saying?
This Eternal Bilaal, peace to the family.
You know what I'm saying? We just back again, still out here in Georgia at the Black Tie event or whatever, you know, about to get started soon or whatever in a few hours. We just waiting for everybody to finish doing what they doing. But, you know, me and the God, you know, we just back again just to have a little sit-down build, you know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
Because, you know, just a lot of the stuff that's been going on lately in the conscious community is just, you know, at the end of the day, it's just, for me, like I tell people all the time, for me it's a build at the end of the day. I don't even, you know, look at it and get into the whole gossip of, oh, this and that. At the end of the day, we look at the psychology and study the psychology of the black man, the human being. What makes us act in irrational ways the way we act? What makes us act, you know, in an irate manner when we're sitting down, you know, dialoguing with someone? The God was in his room, you know, and, you know, I'm in my room where I'm staying at, and the God shot me a video. And it was a video of on, I think, what was it, on Sanetta's channel?
Sanetta's,
yeah.
Zion Lexx,
yeah.
And Jabari.
Right, on Brother Sanetta's channel. You know, Sanetta, that's my man, you know, that's my God brother, you know what I'm saying? You know, I mess with Sanetta. But, man, Brother Lexx Zion, you know, and Brother Jabari, I mean, just a display of, you know, ignorance as far as, you know, just the irate behavior and irrational behaviors. So, me and the God was just building, basically, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you know, it all falls back to us, you know, and what happened to us and the role that we have to play as conscious individuals in terms of building ourselves back up, you know what I'm saying, as human beings. But real quick though, God, just on the video that you see, you know, just real quickly, you know, kind of talk about it real quick and just tell the family, you know, just some of your thoughts on the dissertation or the discussion, you know what I'm saying, you know, the heated discussion, you know, talk about it a little bit for me, God.
Well, first and foremost, I think I respect Zion Lexx a whole lot. His scholarship, he's very astute with his studies, but like most men, he struggles with his ego, starting with me, you know. This isn't a shot at him, it's just a reality check that you have to be able to conquer the ego that's driving you and have you on autopilot. You know, it's very important to understand that. And you can't, you can have all the information in the world, but what happens in the heat of the moment, especially because we come from poverty, so the first thing that's important to you is, I know he ain't trying to play me or disrespect me. But then again, what is respect and disrespect? Because people can respect you today and disrespect you tomorrow. People love you today and hate you tomorrow. So, you know, when you're doing a dissertation like that, you're supposed to stick to the information more or less and subtract or extract the ego and make the ego fly low.
Right.
That's important. That's imperative to do.
Right.
Do I always succeed at that? No, I don't. But 85% of the time, I do, and that don't got nothing to do with it being an 85.
Right.
I'm talking about 85 to 90%. My ego is in check. You know, there's a small chance, which goes back to what I spoke with Daysun about earlier. Nas got a lyric back in the day. He says, how can I trust you when I can't trust me? I don't trust me in certain situations with my ego because that can put me on the back burner and now the ego takes full control over you, like what we saw with Brother Zion Lexx and Jabari and many other situations. This is not just them. This is just our cellular behavior because that's where your behavior starts. That's where your program starts. The command imprints from the body. The body has an ego and it becomes very confrontational when it feels it's being disrespected, you know, and so I think that dissertation, he felt like Jabari wasn't directly calling, saying nothing derogatory in verbiage, but he was doing it in an undermining way, because Jabari is very astute at doing stuff like that. And he makes good points, but sometimes he'll undermine your scholarship.
I was going to say, he's down talking. You know, yeah, he does that.
And he might not mean to do it. He does it subconsciously because I watch him enough to know. So what happened was Zion Lexx picked up on it, and the ego overconsumed him right away. And he felt because Jabari was in his home and he had home territory, that it made him flare up as such. So that's my my personal observation of that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you know, the ego is something. You know, like in our lessons, it talks about the 4 devils. I know we built on that once before as well. You know, these are things that the 4 devils are basically, it's a program, basically, that was put in us by someone else who is our natural enemy. You know, we was building earlier and we talked about, you know, who produced our mind. You know, like one day I think I was telling a brother, I said, you know, he was like, yeah, I don't understand you, or, you know, and I said, no, you may not understand me, but I understand you.
Facts.
I understand your thinking because I understand the mind that produced your thinking. You know, first you have to understand the thinking of the Caucasian man, the white man who had us in slavery for over 400 years on the plantation. We were brought over here to be made as slaves, to be made as servants, nothing else.
Free laborers.
Free labor. That's it. So over a period of 100, 200, 300 years, after having generations of people not being able to read, to be able to write, to be able to express themselves freely, you know, to be able to live out our culture of mathematics. You know, this happening over a period of generations, this is almost like now it's in our DNA. So even though now the shackles have been taken off of our hands and our feet or whatever, as Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the miseducation of the Negro, you know, as he said, now it's on your mind. And again, like me and the God always say, even though I'm talking about, we discussing, you know, the state of the conscious community and the situation between Brother Jabari and Brother Lexx Zion, and we're pointing a finger, still 3 fingers are pointing back at me. You know, because we all have our inner demons. And that inner demon devalues your self-worth, your market value. Because you've been born into a market, and in this market you're always projecting something outward to the public. What is it that you project? You gotta check yourself and see the poverty mentality creates a super hyper masculine ego, and that recedes into the genetics. And when you have a seed, you pass that on to your seed. Why do you think black people behave in such irrational ways? Listen, we board the airplane, the bus, the train with the I wish I'm up would attitude. Somebody sitting in my seat, we just waiting for something to happen. And this is not by coinky-dink. We're not born that way. You're programmed that way. And some of that stuff, yeah, it's in your genetics, but then it's heightened by the system. This is a program. You know, and that's why what Brother Daysun is saying about, we know the mind that produced you. I also know the mind that produced me. And guess what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to eradicate that out my system. That is to self-perfect oneself. Go ahead. Right. True indeed. That's of course that's the jihad.
Yes, that's the jihad.
Like as Muslims, like us as Muslims, when we say we're fighting jihad or jihad, you know, it's not a, well, it is an external war, but it's initially it begins as an internal war.
Inside out.
Because those scars, and I refer to them as scars, that were placed on us during our 400-year servitude in the wilderness of North America, those scars, which are the 4 devils, those are just the impediments that the white man took. You know, the wrong eating of foods, you know, the improper foods that we eat, the improper language that we speak, the improper culture and the way that we go about our day-to-day lives. You know, these are things that was, you know, put on us that they're scars, you know, because it may take a lifetime to erase that scar from your body, you know. And I'm sorry, and I don't mean to cut you.
No, go. And what happens, I spoke to D, is that every week you're supposed to progress as an individual. You know, I heard Brother Polite say this. I give respect to him. He said, individuality. You're in a divide and a duality. There's a positive and a negative side. There's a duality, right? And there's a divide. You're in a divide duality. Individuality, and that's what that means, the etymon of that. And you know, when I heard him say it, he's right. So I give credit where it's due, and I extract from the ethers. Now, he passed that. I don't know where he got the information from. It doesn't even matter. I know how to put it into practice. Can you put it into practice? It's the same thing with my brothers who know the 120. I always implore you, it's good to quote it, but can you practice that in real time? I see a lot of my brothers, they drinking 40s on the corner, not all. they smoking weed, right? They smoking cigarettes. And you can quote, you're not who you say you are. You are what your practice is.
Right.
What is your practice? Did you master self? Did you master conquering the 4 devils? I'm working on that every day. Are you? Go ahead.
True indeed. True indeed. You know, at the end of the day, you know, quoting is not scholarship.
No.
I think, and I've said that once before on numerous occasions. You know, brothers is like, oh, why you reading the lessons or you reading yeah, because I'm supposed to be a reader. That's what we are as human beings. We read. Every time Allah wanted to impart knowledge onto the human being, the word read was always mentioned, you know. But just to go back to what I was saying, Master Fard Muhammad, the most humble Elijah Muhammad, said when he came to North America, before making himself known and establishing the Nation of Islam, July 4th, 1930, he was over here prior to that, just studying the mentalities. He had to study the white man's mentality and he had to study the black man's mentality. He studied both mentalities in order to concoct or to come up with a solution or an antidote. You know, that would be the best solution in order to, you know, bring us to a complete change. You know what I'm saying? That would bring about our salvation.
Outcome and results, O&R, yes.
Yeah, yeah. You know, so, you know, as we say in the Nation of Islam, you know, he's like the master psychologist. You know, as 5%ers, we teach that. Master Fard Muhammad and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad were master scientists because they're doing what we should be doing now. Once we get 120 and we have knowledge of self, our job is to do what they did. We have to go out and study the minds of the people. Not just them, but you have to understand what the devil has done and what he is now still doing. When you see these destructive shows on TV, these reality shows that are destructive, the music that is destructive, programming, you know, when you see all of these things, it's our job to study that and now come up with solutions now to how we can, you know, reverse that, you know, as scientists, basically. You know?
Excellent, excellent. You mentioned read. There's a saying that first you learn to read, then you read to learn. Are you reading to learn, or are you just quoting? Marinate on that for a minute.
Good point.
And so, reading is just not reading literature.
Right.
Reading is reading the play of the ions around you, and that's metaphysics and quantum mechanics I'm going into. Being able to study your environment, that's really a mirror of self. You know, I stimulate life and matter. Now, are you reading what you're stimulating is the question. Do we really understand that, or are we just quoting it is the question. See, I take the lessons and I don't just quote it. I put it into everyday practice, and Daysun will tell you, I'm a master psychologist without a degree. No one certifies me. I certify me. There's no master teacher that certifies me. I give respect to the master teacher, and now it's my job to continue to work and put it into real-time practice. Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan until they get hit. What I'm saying, everybody got a belief system or quote until they get hit with real-time haymakers. Can you handle that haymaker and flurry? I implore you the question. Go ahead.
True
we
indeed.
freestyle.
Yeah, true indeed, true indeed. In Islam, it's taught, you know, and I know some of my Sunni Muslim brothers, you know, and not just the Sunni Muslim brothers, but a lot of the other Muslims in the world, they get it misconstrued sometimes, you know, with a lot of these, you know, I'm going to say quote-unquote terror, what they deem as terror groups. I'm not really going to use that word because that's what the white man calls Islamic groups, you know, when really he's the terrorist, but that's another bill.
Well, what happens is the ruling class or the Europeans, they produce forward racism. And these people are not forward racism, are forward terrorism, I'm sorry. And now what they're doing is reverse terrorism to counter what's happening. Because you're trying to protect yourself. But there's an aggressor here. But what they do to paint the pictures as the person that's protecting themselves as the forward aggression.
Right. True indeed. What was I saying? When in studying the minds of our people, basically we have to take on the same work that the master teachers did. You know, same thing that they did, we have to do. A lot of times we try to live off, and this is religion now. When you're trying to live off of what they did. Oh, they studied that already, or they did that already. You're supposed to take what they told you and then continue on.
Further it.
You know, exactly, further it. Because then, you know, that's when you get the best practical results.
Yes.
You know, when you can do that.
Yes.
But in studying out people's mind, it was another point that I was going to mention too that slipped my mind. It was dealing with the psychology of studying our people. I'll come back to it. But that's what I was going to say. I was talking about as far as what a teaching that has been misconstrued in Islam. You know, Sunni Orthodox Islam. When they talk about jihad, I wanted to just jump back on that real quick, which is an internal struggle of self.
Yes.
In Islam, it is said that, you know, we are supposed to run, not just Islam, religion. I'm going to say in most religious teachings, that one of the common thread that I find in there is that as believers, we run towards death. What does that mean? Is it talking about a physical death? No. Because, of course, all things in this universe are trying to live. If I see a roach or something, or a bug or something, and I try to hit it, is it going to stay there and let me hit it? Or no, it's going to try to move.
Right.
Everything is here to preserve life.
Right.
However, in the terms of spirituality or enlightenment, a lot of times, this is what religious people will do. Let's say I'm a Christian.
Yes.
You're talking to me about Jesus Christ, trying to convince me that what I read in the Bible may not be, you know, you might want to look into that a little further.
Right.
And I don't want to hear it. I don't even want to say, you know, but what does it mean when we say we run towards death? I run towards death every day. Me and you built on this a while back too. What the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, what I've learned during my 20-some odd years of studying this knowledge, I'm always going against that. Trying to find something, can something defeat that? Can something defeat that? Oh, you say I'm wrong in what I'm teaching? Come on, let's bring it to the table. Oh, you say Elijah Muhammad is wrong, or Minister Farrakhan is wrong, or whoever, one of my master teachers is wrong, or let's bring it to the table, because if it is, I want to know so I can throw that away. So in other words, you die in that belief. You run towards death spiritually. Why? Because we know what lies on the other side of that. Allah says in the Qur'an that the universe was created in truth. So therefore, you're only going to find out the truth. Jesus said, seek and ye shall find. Seek and ye will find. Not seek and you might find. No, if you go looking, you're going to find it. So the thing is, when someone comes with information, we never shun that information. A lot of times it may be truth mixed with falsehood, but whatever it is, we take it, we eat the meat, spit out the bones. That was the point that I was trying to slip my mind for a second. But yeah, you know, in terms of spirituality or enlightenment, it is always imperative for us to always seek to, okay, if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if you can, after Master Fard Muhammad taught him, and the messenger went and studied 104 books, now later on in the 60s, the messenger can stand up and make the proclamation, come and prove me wrong. Prove one thing that I said was wrong about the teaching about the black man, about the Caucasian man, and I'll give you $10,000 out of my brother's vest pocket. Now you're ready to be challenged. I'm firm, I'm deep-rooted in what I believe in the science and mathematics that I believe in. Nobody can come and change that now. Because I can show you from all different angles what I'm saying. I can come at it from any way.
Basically, in a nutshell, what you're saying is you run toward death. The death that you're talking about, you run toward the bulldozer that can destroy what you're standing on.
Right.
Let me see if it can bulldoze over what I'm standing on. Because I don't want to just stand on something because it makes me comfortable.
Right.
That's belief.
Right.
Belief is to
That's
accept,
religious.
Belief is to accept something as truth with no real proof. And to run away from things that might debunk it.
Right.
That's also. So I think for both of us, we don't really run away from it. We run toward it to examine to see if what we're standing on is right and exact. And right and exact in alignment with real time.
Right.
And real time, certain things that happen in real time are also off too because it's part of culture.
Right.
Like you know, Santa Claus existing, that happens in real time, but it's because the currency and the belief of the mind believes it, and we keep putting up images of it everywhere when December rolls around, but it's not real. But it does happen in real time. But you still have to, those are two different real times I spoke about. There's the truthful real time, and then there's the fictitious real time. Santa Claus is a fictitious real time based on the currency of the mind, which is still belief. Because that's where all currency starts, in the mind. And the power of that. So you always want to be able to implore or check or examine or assess to see if what you're standing on, if there's information out there that can debunk it. And that's when you know you're right and exact. That is to really stand on your square. When you can do that and you're able to put it into real-time practice, you see it in the play of the ions around you, because you're an ionic being entangled with other ions. This is how you learn. You know, to live is to extract information from the ethers around you. And reading literature is part of that. Reading the play of the ion is part of that. This is all part of life, or live. Backwards is always evil. And these things are two sides of the same coin. Go ahead.
I like that. Yeah, definitely. But, you know, this is the reason why we're warriors. You know, we're warriors for God, or we're warriors for Allah. You know, because a warrior is one that you don't, we ain't no little wussies over here. You know, we don't run from death. You know, if you got something that you say can debunk the science that I'm teaching, if you say that something can debunk when I say the black man is God, or something that you say you can debunk the white man is the devil, or the way that we should be eating, our proper dietary, anything that you say, bring it to me. Let's put it on the table, because I want to know. I want to die in that false belief if I'm believing something that's not right and exact. You see what I'm saying? The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, Allah, God is a warrior by nature. Because the first God in this universe, he went to war with the darkness. It says the darkness went to war